I'm making another video. This time, I want to mention something I recently noticed. Back in 2015 and 2016, when Donald Trump decided to run for president, he mentioned the phrase "Make America Great Again." And I vaguely remember he said in the early 1900s, United States experienced a boom, and that was the greatest era in United States history. In a way, I agree with them, and in a way, I don't. And I'm going to explain why later. First, I do agree with them because I compiled this list and showing in front of everybody here that all the great inventions happened within the last 200 years has been really dramatic. And when Elon Musk decided to start his SpaceX company to launch rockets and recover rockets and send human beings to Mars, he lamented that our technology progress has slowed dramatically, and I do agree with him. Now back to Donald Trump. He said this is pretty much like a United States endeavor. In a way, I agree with him, but in a way I don't, because some of these inventions actually was contributed by a lot of other nations around the world. So I want to bring attention to everybody, and in this video, let's say this. Assuming you are the person who was born in 1890, okay? You're born in 1890. I highlighted here in red. And let's assume you live for 80 years and you die in 1970. Now, the year you were born, most people around the world are still riding horse carriages and riding horses. Automobile just came out about 5 years earlier. I'm using car bands as an example because there were actually a lot of people who got involved in the development of automobile. So assuming that you were born in 1890, at that time, just 5 years after automobile came out, I will pretty much think that automobile is a rich people's toy. Most people would not have access to such a technology, so most people will be riding horse carriages. Okay, now you were born in that year, and then you will die in 1970. Before you die, you will have seen the first human being landing on the moon, but you will probably not know that the first internet message was already sent in 1969, because at that time, internet was just a United States military experiment. So most likely you will not know that. But look at this, how amazing it is during that 80 years. Okay, you would have seen radio coming out, air conditioning, first power flight, an aircraft that's heavier than air by the Wright brothers, electric washing machines, Model T by Ford, refrigerator, commercial airline, television, etc., etc. I don't want to go down the list, but you can see yourself. Now, when you were born at that time, most likely you will be writing letters to contact your loved ones. Most people in 1890s, you probably will not be writing letters because you were just born. You're a couple years old, so you won't be writing letters. But look at this. Couple years later, you'll be watching television, and then telephone was developed before 1890, and then slowly become a commercial success later on. You'll be listening to radios instead of reading books. You will be riding commercial airlines to travel instead of in horse carriages and in trains. Now, to cross the Atlantic, assuming you live in New York, you want to go to London, you have to ride ships. And then after that, you can take jet aircrafts to cross the Atlantic. And, and that's just about 60 years after you were born. So this 80 year is probably the most amazing 80 year in the entire human history. Let's put that in perspective. You were born in 1890. Human beings have been riding horses for thousands of years. Okay? They've been burning candles, they've been burning wood for cooking, for lighting, or for various reasons. But by the time you're dead, you'll be switching most of your appliances to electricity. You will not be burning woods anymore. You'll be using electricity. Another thing I noticed is that during those 80 years, 2 devastating wars were fought, World War I and World War II. A lot of people were killed. Some of these inventions came from the war itself. Okay? I don't think it's the radio, but then aircraft, definitely, showing World War I. Jet aircraft, showing World War II by the Germans. And without the jet aircraft, you will not have commercial jet aircraft. Okay. Now, there's one thing I didn't include here is rockets. I should have added here. Without rockets, you will not have satellites, and you will not have satellite TV transmissions. So that's another thing I need to add. In a way, I find it really depressing, is that without those wars, we will not have such a great progress in terms of technology. So I would say this 80 years is the most amazing 80 years, just like I said before, in human history. It was very exciting during this person's lifetime, and it was equally terrible. Okay? Now back to what Elon Musk was saying. When he started SpaceX, he felt that our technology progress has slowed dramatically. From this perspective, after I look at this, I definitely agree with him. So here I want to say, I wish Elon will be successful in his endeavor, sending human to Mars, and with all the great inventions that's coming up, because ever since I came to the United States in 1980 until now, I pretty much noticed that there were not a lot of great inventions except 2 things, computer and internet. So I also believe...
I'm not sure.
Sorry, that was Alexa talking to me. I just mentioned the word computer. So it's pretty much just computer and internet. Anyway, that's all I'm going to say about this. Thank you so much.